Now here's a familiar IP that Hasbro owned many years ago. Um, the Mighty Mugs line pretty much came into its inception in 2007 to pretty much bank on the success or failure that the movie from Michael Bay would give. The line was successful and ran for about a good 3 to 4 waves and was used with all of Hasbro's different properties that they had at the time, including some of the sister properties that they had, like X-Men and Marvel stuff in general. And same thing with Star Wars. They had G.I. Joe Mighty Mugs, but they also had Transformer ones. And they had quite a few. And they had a whole bunch of G1 based, a handful of ones that were based on the movie verse. And it kind of came and it went. They were these very large, you know, I guess you could call them non vinyl figures that were, predate pop vinyl. And they were articulated and they all usually came with an accessory if need be. They came, they went, and they disappeared, I'd have to say, around 2010, 2011, and that was the last we ever heard of them. And Hasbro kind of just put that line to rest. Now, years later, now we're in a post pop vinyl world, if you will.
Yeah.
And I guess Hasbro realizes maybe we should kind of get back on this, but they're obviously doing something differently this time around. Um, they clearly noticed that if they would have went back and did what they did with Mighty Mugs previously, it would kind of seem like they're just doing the same thing what Pop Vinyl is doing now. So instead, they decided to do kind of a different gimmick where it's still a miniature small figure of an SD, super deformed kind of look, but it has a twisting gimmick where if you turn a certain rotor on the body, it turns the face and it changes the expression. So you'll have like an Optimus Prime with his battle mask, or doing a sneer, or doing like like it's hard
Hmm.
to really explain, or like Starscream being shocked, or angered or whatever. And the same thing with the Megatron. And then there's also a Bumblebee. So there's currently four right now. And the Megatron's all busted up and he has like a black eye on one of them. The
Yeah,
Bumblebee's
yeah, yeah.
sticking his
I
tongue out.
still function.
So they clearly made these to be like comical characters. The assumption that these are actually, because the way Cyberverse's show is, these are supposed to be throwbacks more so to what's going on with Cyberverse right now, not so much G1. And the argument that people give is because the Bumblebee, the way that his alt mode is it's more harkens to that of what the Cyberverse toy line is. When you look at the
Mm,
obviously the Optimus Prime, the Megatron, and the Starscream,
not much change.
you could easily say, well, these are the G1 versions, and yeah, you'd be right. I would not argue that with you. But clearly, when you look at the Cyberverse, I mean the Bumblebee, it's clearly based off of the Cyberverse design. So
Well, I would also point out that with the Optimus, his face mask has like a little bit of extra parts to it,
yeah, it's true.
little
Extra
extra,
detail.
and then it goes away, and it kind of reminds me of animated Prime a little bit,
Well,
like
yeah,
the way his
and
jaw,
again
the way it comes down.
that's another thing too. The original G1 Optimus Prime, outside of a masterpiece toy where you could remove his faceplate, never showed his mouth
Mm.
ever. Like that wasn't a thing, unless you're counting like again supplemental material like IDW comics or something. So you never really got to see his mouth. So this would be something that's actually officially showing his face. If it was the original G1 Prime. So this might even be an indication that this is how we're gonna, the character might have a removable faceplate also in the show. But all we know is so far we got the four: Starscream, Megatron, Bumblebee, and the Prime, and these are going to be showing up really soon in stores. And no prices yet, how much they're going to cost, but it has the mood spin gimmick as it's officially patented, and yeah, these will be out soon.
I think that's really cool about them is the moods. Like it gives you that little extra play, a little bit of actual transforming, a little bit
It's
transforming your
it
mood.
it's
I
a
dig
way
that. I kind
to
of dig that about them.
the way I see it. It's a way to differentiate it from what pop vinyls are doing.
Hmm.
And actually, I just did some little research now, and we actually do have a price point, and it's actually the same price of pop vinyls. They're going to be $10 each. So I guess it's going to be going up against what Funko is doing right now in that market.